Yo guys, how's it going? So today I'm taking you through the Fearless project. I had loads of questions about the bass sound in the drop, and then also the stabs, and a lot of questions about the vocal. So I'm going to cover all those today. Remember, if you have any questions, just drop them below, and I'll hit you back after the video. I want to say thank you guys for all the support on Fearless. It's been so good so far. It's doing really well. So I'm really excited that you guys are feeling it. So let's go and get stuck in. Let's start with the bass sound on the drop, because it's like the main part of the track. Now this is just Spire sound, and it's really driven by the processing. There's a lot going on that gives it the sound. So for example, if this is the bass sound that we're playing with, without processing, it's just dead. So yeah, it's just really not very interesting at all. And then also, it's really important, the automating of the channel processing. But let's go through these first. We've got a FabFilter Pro Q, taking out a little bit of bottom, boosting in quite a lot on the presence and the top. CLA, doing some compression. We've got my faithful Quadrafuzz. As you guys know, I'm using quite a lot. He's one of my favorites. And then also got a Camel Fat. Now I'm doing the side chain with Camel Fat again. I'm sure you guys have seen that before. But also using the distortion. I'm using the Bit Crusher here, and then also the Exciter. It brings in quite a bit of nice top end to a sound if you want it to. Also, if you want to get a really fat sound of your bass sound, you can bring in the tube. But this one actually had too much, so I didn't need it. And then we've got a Renaissance EQs, nothing on there. Again, nothing on this one. And then we've got a Valhalla reverb here, quite a short decay, giving the bass sound quite a bit of life. And then also one more EQ, taking some lows, boosting some low mids, and putting in some highs. But what makes this sound interesting, for me anyway, was the automation here. And you see it goes up on the first note there, and then it also goes back up when it's doing the short notes there too. And what happens here is that this is the cutoffs, like opening and then closing and then going up with the rhythm of the track. So you can see if I pull up the synth as it plays, you focus on this one here. This gives the sound like quite a lot of movement and makes it travels. Otherwise, it just feels quite straight and quite simple, you know, not too interesting. But also, we're automating the reverb for the first sound. Where are we here? So if you see, this jumps up to like 50-60%. And that basically creates this cool effect where the sound's pitching down and the reverb's gone big to small. It sort of, you know, throws it out, and then you've got these big stabs hitting on there as well, and it gives a really, really cool, interesting sound. So that's the main sort of acidy sound. There's also a sub underneath, but that's, to be honest, that's quite boring. But we'll cover the sub afterwards. The other sound we've got on top is this here. This is quite a simple Nexus lead. You can hear. It's kind of weird because I wanted the it quite like short and like down, but when I brought the Nexus filter mode cutoff down, it kind of took away all the top ends. So I really brought that back with the EQs. You can see here, taking out loads of low. You can see here I've boosted like crazy. You know, this is not, you know, conventionally correct producing, but still, fuck it, whatever gets you there. I've got a Camel Fat's just doing the side chain. It's a little bit easier, 82% rather than 100%. Again, taking more bottom out, more top end, and then the reverb here, quite really long because the notes are quite spaced out on this. Like, I can get away with a longer decay. And then another EQ, bringing some stuff in there. But to be honest, this is the same sound from Heartbeats, so you guys should hopefully recognize it. So together, you've sort of got, it puts a bit of melody into the bass line. Oh, wait there. There you go. And that's kind of what's going on. So that's the leads for the drop. You know, they're doing the majority of the work, and then underneath it, I'll just show you. Obviously there's this sound here as well, which is a just a little layer really, quite basic. Just a Nexus patch with a bit of quadrifuzz. I didn't want it conflicting in the low end there, and then a small really tight reverb on there as well. But with this one, the main thing that made this bass, this kind of low end of it work is here. So the kick drum in there. I'm not sure if you guys can get the sub coming through. So if I go to the sub here, this is actually just a standard saw. Oh, the doggy's awake. So this sound without any processing here. Oh wow, I forgot about that. What I did though was I made all of the notes. It's the same rhythm as the other bass sound, but the other one's got like gaps, so it's like this one I wanted the notes to be all the way connecting so that there was constant low end, so you had this really heavy bass to it. So if I turn the processing back on, I'm glad there's no distortion on there, I was worried for a second. So basically what I've done is sometimes when you just add a sine as a bass sound, sines don't have a lot of harmonics compared to saw waves. So if you filter down a saw, you can sometimes have a fatter, more thicker bass line than just a sine wave. So basically I've just filtered down everything, taken it all out with EQ. I've used the BX boom to get to add some more harmonics in the low end. Basically really simple plugin, you just dial this drummy thing over to the right. Some harmonic maximizer. I wanted that other BX boom was more adding stuff around 40-50 Hertz. I wanted some more energy around 80 Hertz, so I dialed some harmonics in at 80 Hertz there. Which about 2 dB there, and then Camel Fat. I've got a bit of side chain, really simple, and then the BX Digital V2. All I did with this was just turn it, basically make it mono, really simple. So and that's how I got this really fat bass sound. So then when you got it in with the kick, it's like a constant pumping of low end. So with the kick drum, really minor changes. I just kind of, to be honest, I really struggled getting the kick and the bass to really click together. So I just ended up EQing like several times over, really small adjustments, like 1 dB here, 1.5 there, 5 there, 2 up there, and again like really small, subtle changes. But it got there in the end. This one did take a long time for the drop to come together. So that together is really, like, if I solo these instruments here, like that's your core elements. Everything else is kind of, you know, additional stuff. So they're the main sounds in the drop. I'm going to take you down to the stabs now. And what we've got with the stabs, it's not actually overly complicated at all. Basically what I've got here is, are these really to a group? Nope. It's 2 Vengeance samples. As we all know, their libraries are great. They like this. And basically this, I kept this one long because the note of the first thing was quite long as well. So as that pitches down, it sort of carries all the way. So the first sound is this one here. I really liked it because it's got that kind of doo. I think it's, I don't know if it's the same as from Nash or something, I don't know. But anyway, it sounds really sick. So all I did was took a bit of low out, put quite a lot of top end in there, and then what did I do? I actually wanted a bit more of an attack on there because its attack is kind of like, there's no real like click on there. So I used the Cubase envelope shaper. They're in pretty much every DAW. It's really simple. I just added a bit of a attack on there, a tiny bit, just to give it a little bit more snap, and it just pushes it, you know, makes it at the front. And then I've got a really stupidly long reverb, but there's such a long space between the stabs, it didn't matter too much. Although technically, if you want a clean mix, you probably shouldn't do that. But again, there's no rules, so just kind of do what you want. as long as it comes out sounding good and you're happy. And then another one is just this sound, really simple, really low. I kind of like this one because it kind of lacked the hit that the other one didn't have. Sorry. So, but with processing, a little. Really, I just brought the top end out because none of those samples really had any top end. So they're the stabs together. And then what I did do at the end of the bar is I've got the reverb. I've got another reverb for the stabs, and what I do here is make it go like. So like there's another reverb that just carries because that's when the beat stops for a bar. Cool. Well, that's the stabs really. I had a couple of questions about the drums. And I'll try and cover those here. I used a lot of the sort of louder style big toms here. So you've got like this one here. Oh, sorry. So yeah, so we've got like the big toms. Sorry, I'm getting a bit lost. So what progresses it here? I'll just try and take you to the hi-hat groove up here. I'm really unorganised, so everything's a bit all over the place with this one. A bit of brass hit in there, it's a bit of reverse. Bit of standard. I don't think he wasn't in there yet. Yeah, so that's it really for the drums there. I always try and keep all the grooves, everything quite syncopated, so the toms are all coming in when the bass sounds are hitting and stuff, so it gives you that, everything feels like it's in with each other. Cool, so let's quickly go on to the vocals. I'll try and give you guys some info on those. So there's two vocals in this, obviously. There's a sung vocal and there is like a rap or spoken. Both of them are me singing them. So what I've done is some kind of cool, interesting processing going on. So basically I've got the same vocal, one is pitched up an octave, one is pitched up down, and I edited them so I sung it in slightly with a bit of a melody, and I didn't want the melody in the end, so I ended up making all every single word the same pitch, so that the song's in G, so I put every single bit of the vocal in on G, so it's like this.
Can you see that we're fearless?
Wait, let me go so it's the filter's open.
Can you see that we're fearless?
So basically that's the bottom layer, and then on the top you've got.
Can you see that we're fearless?
So I'll take you through the processing now. They've both got near enough the same, and then they go into a group having some more, and then there's also a delay group here. So basically, alright, let's start with the top one. We've got a bit of a fab filter, taking out all the bottom there, and putting some top in. We've got a CLA compressing the vocal, because it's more important to have compression when you're working with audio that's like recorded, like a performance recording. I've got the PSP Vintage Warmer, doesn't seem to be doing anything though. And then the Manny Distortion, I really like this distortion, it's really cool. Just really important to bring down this here, because if you have it open, you get all this.
Can you see that we're fearless?
And you see if you bring it down, you get all of the drive from the signal without it being, really and shitty. And then obviously a bit of a Valhalla there. And then I've got really similar processing on the lower one, but I just have an extra EQ in there. And then what they do is they go to a rap group. So I basically bust them to a group where I could EQ them together. I did like some taking out quite a little bit there, and then I used the CLA vocals. You guys can see the settings there, not too crazy. And then I had just a DJM filter, which is the same one from the mixers, and that obviously opens up through the 8 bars. And then I've got a de-esser. I was having a little bit of problems, a bit too much top end, like a bit too much syllabants. I'm not quite sure how you say that. In there, so I ended up using a bit of a de-esser, and then there's a couple of times where I use the elastic to pitch down the vocal at like the end of the song. But what it is cool here is in the riser section, so in these 8 bars here, where the vocal sort of repeats, I have a delay on a send that comes in, and then I don't think it pitches up on this one, but it definitely volumes in, so you get like a
louder, can you hear?
Let's do it soloed.
Can you hear us? Can you see that we're fearless? Screaming louder, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
And this is quite cool because it sort of repeats it more and more and more as it gets to the drop. But in the second rise, it goes like it pitches up as well.
Screaming louder, can you hear us?
But just the delay pitches up, not the main vocal, so you can hear it here.
Screaming louder, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Screaming louder, can you hear us?
So you can see what I've done is I had the delay on this group 4 with the elastic pitch shift, and then that's basically, rather than pitching up the vocal in the similar sense where you just pitch up the main vocal, this was pitching up the delay. It sort of builds it up, adds sort of another riser element. Shit, we're already at 15 minutes. I did want to show you some more stuff, but never mind. I will make sure I cover some more shit quicker next time, and I'll do a I'll keep on bringing the videos of all the tracks that I'm releasing this year. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you picked up some interesting stuff that you can use. If I've missed anything or you want to know something, drop me a comment below and I'll get back to you and tell you what's up.